Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. This is the Assistant's Guide to Success on Set. I really appreciate you all coming out. Some of you are interested in learning how to assist. Some of you are already assistants. Some of you are photographers who are looking to connect with assistants. So I hope that we can all come together, do a little bit of networking, grow as a community. But today we are going to be teaching aspiring photo assistants the skills, responsibilities, and professionalism that you will need to excel on set. You're going to be learning about set etiquette. You're going to learn how to handle a little bit of gear. So the first half of this is going to be more like presentation style, lecture style. And then the second half, we're going to be really hands-on with a lot of the equipment in the studio. So you will also learn how to anticipate a photographer's needs to become an in-demand assistant. That's the goal at the end of the day, right? Is to not only learn how to be a good assistant, but put it into practice, get hired, get rehired. So moving forward, a little bit about myself. My name is Daniel Livingstone. I am a commercial fitness photographer based here in Chicago. I have a BA in photography from Columbia College, Chicago, and it was actually at art school where I learned that you could make a career out of doing artistic things in the industry, whether it's assisting, retouching, shooting, producing. So there is an entire world out there for you. Whether or not assisting or shooting is your thing, there are so many opportunities, and events like this and other networking opportunities are definitely going to be how you explore that and grow in this world. A little side note is that in early 2021, I began my own personal journey of wellness and fitness, which really helped a lot with mental health stuff and just physical health stuff as well. And since then, I've implemented these same core concepts about being the best version of myself in the gym as I did in my photographic practice. And that really helped me excel as a creative and as an artist. So a little bit of table of contents here. We're going to be going over a bunch of things, but to compartmentalize it, the first thing we're talking about is what is an assistant, really bare bones, straightforward stuff. Then we're going to be talking about your responsibilities and expectations as an assistant. So a little more of like what the job description is. You know, there's a little bit of confusion about the difference between an assistant, an intern, a second shooter. So we're going to demystify a lot of those misconceptions here. The next, we're going to go over some set etiquette and tips. This is just going to be a little bit of like a rapid fire knowledge dump on you about like things that I've learned, a lot of it coming from personal experiences or second account stories that I've heard from just colleagues in the industry. And then to wrap things up, we're going to be doing that hands-on equipment walkthrough that I talked about earlier. So just not only explaining what the gear is that you'll be running into on set, but also describing what it's called, how it works, when you would use it, just to make you more informed. So when you're showing up, you're not starting from square one, asking your photographer, what is this? What is this? What is this? What is this for every single piece of equipment? And that way you're not on set where the first assistant is yelling at you as a third assistant going, how do you not know what a Cardellini clamp is? That is a true story. It was a nightmare. So just jumping right into things, what is an assistant? An assistant is going to be your photographer's most valuable teammate. Your responsibilities start at the beginning of the day from setup all the way to breakdown and everything in between, like test shots, maintenance, stand-ins, anything related to gear you're going to be kind of responsible for. There are some like miscellaneous tasks you'll be asked to do, but those things are very contextual and they'll come up on an as-needed basis. So assisting is all about relationships. Everything in this industry is all about relationships. So a photographer is really, really going to have to trust you to hire you and allow you to interact with all their gear, be around their clients. You know, there's a lot of risk on set that the photographer is taking on, and you being an extension of them, they are responsible for you. So you are a reflection of the person that is hiring you. You want to do a good job and do right by them. Host honest and strong connections to your photographers that you genuinely, and I underline genuinely, want to help is going to be the key to succeed, because those 10-hour days, those 12-hour days, they just go by so much faster when you're working with people you like, when you're having fun, when you're making jokes, and you're all really interested in just taking each other to the next level and growing together. So finding work as an assistant can take a long time to develop, as with any business venture. The key to getting your foot in the door may be working for a low rate or even potentially free. I know a lot of people are very anti-free work, but I think just getting that experience is going to be a lot more valuable than making a couple, $100 in a day. And that comes with time, right? You build that experience, then you start getting those paying jobs. You work out from there. You have to kind of snowball this thing and use the momentum to build a career out of this. And this isn't unique to assisting. This is true in almost any field. So I have a quick question for the audience if anyone wants to answer. how do I know if a photo shoot needs an assistant? Does anyone want to take a stab at this? How would you know if a photo shoot would need an assistant?
Work capacity.
Work capacity. I can take a couple other answers. A lot of moving parts. I'll take one more. Yeah, what's up? Lots of equipment. Okay, so just like scale, volume, right? It was actually a little bit of a trick question. I personally believe that every photo shoot needs an assistant. Every single one needs an assistant. Now, does every photo shoot have an assistant? Absolutely not. But it would certainly benefit from one. I spent years doing photo shoots entirely by myself, being the photographer, being the director, being the assistant, all in one. And that was really taxing. I mean, it got the job done. It was possible. But until I started working with my own assistants, that really made the efficiency go up. That made the quality go up. Everything just started becoming way better when I had that extra set of hands. And it doesn't even require an extensive level of skill. I don't need the most experienced or the most talented or the most professional assistant to help my work be better. Literally a second pair of hands will take your work to exponentially long ways. So the responsibilities and expectations of an assistant. This one's going to be really cut and dry, really straightforward. The most basic job description you will have is to make the photographer's job as easy as possible. Now, people get really confused about this because this is both simple and complicated at the same time. Oh, make the photographer's job easy, right? This is so simple. But your job is not to make the photos better. So these things get confused oftentimes. Whatever the photographer needs, you help with. Do not come up with your own ideas. Do not try to do things outside of the photographer's scope to improve on the photo. If you're looking at it on the monitor and going, oh, it would be better if I did this, or, oh, I'm going to use this concept that I learned that the photographer might know, or this lighting technique, and bring my own style to this, that is not your job. Your job is just to make the photographer's job easy. Whatever they want you to do, you do. Now, if you have suggestions or if there's something that's like you're dying to tell them, you can have that communication. I mean, this relationship is all about open channels of communication. So communicating with the photographer is really important. Oh, hey, I noticed this thing in the background. Do you want that there? Or, hey, it's a little dark on the side. Do you want to add some fill? Everything should probably be posed as a suggestive question to the photographer. You are not telling anyone to do anything on set. You are simply suggesting or asking. So the more literal description of your job is going to be you start the day by loading in. You are potentially going to be managing a tethered session, whether their computer is plugged into their camera or not. Depends. At the end of the day, you're going to break down. And then parentheses, I put BTS. You might be doing some BTS for the photographer, but on a larger scale production, there's probably someone who's there just to do that thing. So you're good. But if a photographer hands you their cell phone and says, hey, can you get a shot of me doing this like for my BTS? You should probably want to do that for them because, like I said, you genuinely want to work for them. Their work inspires you and you want to help them. Your job is to make their job as easy as possible. So this all kind of ties into that stuff. Now, on a larger production, you may have somewhere up to 3 assistants at once on set, and there is a hierarchy going on. And there's something that I like to call the 3-2-1 hierarchy. So if you are the only photographer on set, so if it's just you and a photographer, your responsibilities as the sole assistant are going to be that more of a third assistant. The first assistant on a production is more of a managerial role. So they are the liaison between the photographer and the assisting team to kind of direct all the responsibilities that need to go out, especially when we talk about there's lots of moving parts or there's tons of things happening on set with a large scale crew. So the first assistant is a manager. For the second and third, they will delegate. The photographer will tell them something. The first will go to the second and third and say, I need you to set up that light. I need you to set up that stand. I need you to get a backdrop going. I need you to stand in, and then I'm going to do this, this, and this. And you work together very closely as a team. But the second and the third report to the first reports to the photographer. So the reason I say it's a 3-2-1 backwards hierarchy is that the less assistants there are on set, the responsibilities kind of work backwards. You're not going to be the only assistant on set managing a team because it's just you. So we are in the set etiquette and tips portion of the presentation. This is going to be like the rapid fire. I'm just going to throw a bunch of knowledge at you and you're responsible for keeping up. Okay, so keep going with me. I'm just kidding. You guys are welcome to answer or ask questions at any point. I'm happier to answer questions in real time while it's fresh in your head than at the end. So do not save your questions for the end. If you have something, just raise your hand. I'll get to it immediately. But the first set etiquette tip I have is this concept of anticipation. And I've talked to dozens of photographers and dozens of assistants and dozens of colleagues in the industry. This is always the recurring theme when talking about assistants is anticipation. So a good assistant will anticipate the needs of the photographer. If you are unsure about something, like I said earlier, always ask the photographer if they want to solve it in the way that you have. The photographer is trusting you. There's a lot of risk on set. They're working with a client. They're taking on all the risk. That's why they are the manager. So they don't want you flipping coins. They don't want you guessing or taking a chance on an idea. Always consult with your boss, who is the photographer. And I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, well, how am I supposed to anticipate a photographer's needs? Like, I've never worked with this person before, or I've never even done this job before. No one's asking you to be a mind reader. So anticipation comes with experience. It's a skill. You can build your anticipation skills. So the more photographers that you assist for, the more times that you assist for those photographers, or at least the more times you assist in general, you will build the overlap of, I've been on this many sets. Every light needs a stand. Every shoot needs a light. Every light needs a modifier. Every camera needs a laptop. Every laptop needs a stand, and so on and so forth. And when you work with a certain photographer enough times, you'll go, this person always uses a beauty dish. This person always shoots tethered. This person always uses a gray backdrop. So you start to understand the flow the more you do it. And then the overlap is where you build the anticipation skill. So the next tip I have for you guys is going to be about boundaries. Ooh, boundaries. Now, it's really not like that serious, but assisting can be a stepping stone to shooting, but you are not on someone else's set to further your own career. And this is really important. This is a big, big boundary that I've seen people cross. It just never goes well. So do not show your work on set. Do not try to network with the crew to build your own dream team for your own shoots. And especially, do not interact with the client as the assistant. I added like extra dramatic pause in there to like really lift that point, but that is really important. Like, you should not be interacting with the client. Technically, as the assistant, your client is the photographer. So that's the only person who you need to make sure you're making happy. And my next point, perfect segue, is that no one's asking you to just be silent and never interact with one and be just kind of like a ghost in the background. Like, this is a industry of relationships. You will be interacting with people. You will be talking to crew. You may be interacting with the client at some point, but you're not interacting with the client in a way that you are a photographer. You are you. You are interacting with the client as, I am the assistant to the photographer. If you need something, I can help you. What do you need? How can I assist you? Your job is to make the photographer's job easier. And if that means alleviating the client's emotional state or needs, that is part of your job description. So it all naturally falls into place. But in relationships, and when it comes to these kinds of relationships, they will come organically. You know, over eagerness will get you in trouble. You just have to have patience. Patience is like the number one thing in this industry. You just got to wait things out. If you work for a photographer enough times, you will probably run into the same makeup artists and the same producers and the same stylists. You will naturally build those relationships. When you see each other on set the second, third, fifth, ninth, 10th time, you will get to know each other's names. You will eventually probably follow each other on Instagram. You can interact outside of the shoot. It's all in good faith. And that's like the key thing to remember at the end of the day is, as long as you're doing things in good faith and doing things organically, it'll all fall into place. It'll all work out. I promise you. So the next step, and this one actually isn't talked about this much, and I was really surprised when I found out that no one really did this that often, is a kit guide. So when you're working with a new photographer, consider taking a photo of all of their kits before setting up. This gives you a guide on exactly how to break down and store gear. So going back to being a mind reader, right? It's like, how do I know how they do this? I'm not going to keep track of everything. When you show up at 6 or 8 a.m. at call, there's going to be a bunch of equipment and a bunch of cases and a bunch of big things and a bunch of small things. And you're going to take it all out of the boxes and set it up. And then 10, 12 hours later, you're going to look at all the mess of stuff on set. And the photographer is going to go, all right, break this down. I'll see you in the van. I'll see you at the studio. And you go, oh God, where did that camera go? Where does that stand go? Where does that clamp go? Jesus. If you, at the beginning of the day, open up every case and just take a photo of it, you have an exact layout of where everything goes, because your brain is going to be fried 10 hours later working on set. You are not going to be able to remember this from 8 in the morning by the time it gets to 6 at night. So definitely take pictures of a kit guide. It'll be really helpful. All you have to do is just take a picture of your phone. It's that easy. The next step, and this one is super underrated, is water and snacks. So do your best to make sure that the photographer stays fed and hydrated on set. this will go a long way in developing and nurturing those relationships. I mean, seriously, when you're, if those of you who have shooting experience or are photographers, when you're shooting, you are so stressed out and you are so focused on just the image making, everything falls by the wayside. You forget to drink water. You forget that you're hungry. Suddenly it's 5 p.m. and you're starving and confused and dizzy and you forgot your name or where you are. So an assistant tapping you on the shoulder in between shots and saying, hey, I brought you a bottle of water. Hey, I brought you a go-go squeeze applesauce snack. Essential. Like, they will really remember that and they will really, really appreciate that. Just that kind of stuff shows that you are their most valuable teammate. You are there to help them. You are there to serve them and make their job easy. So we're going to talk about the photographer's uniform, and I'm gonna give you one spin. All right, there we go. That's all you get. So all blacks is kind of like the rule of thumb. Jeans and a t-shirt are fine. Always consider bringing layers because you never know what conditions you're going to be shooting in. But boots are something that are not required. I like to wear boots on set because they add an extra layer of safety and stability. So in this business, you'll be working with a lot of heavy and potentially dangerous equipment. Like, that looks scary. And these stands way more than you think they do if you've never picked one up before. So anything landing on your foot, anything landing on your leg or hitting you in the body will do some damage. So make sure you're protecting yourself because this is a very manual labor oriented job. And then like a side bonus note is like staying fit, staying strong is actually really important. As an assistant, my like standard is probably you should be able to lift 50 pounds in weight at any time in any certain way. That is just not like gonna happen every single time, but if we have 3 sandbags on a C-stand and the photographer says, can you move that over 5 feet? Sometimes and quickly, you just need to pick it up and move it over. And that stuff gets heavy really fast. So definitely keeping your like physical health in check is going to make you a better assistant by default. But to go back on this layers point, because that is coming from a primary source, I was on set once as the 3rd assistant for a commercial lifestyle shoot, and we were shooting an indoor kitchen scene, and it was a 12-hour day or like a 14-hour day. It was super long, but we were doing a kitchen scene at the end of the day, and this was, I believe, December, so it was really cold and it was really dark. We needed to do a kitchen scene that matched everything that we had been shooting for the entire day. So we needed to make a kitchen look daylit at 6 p.m. in December. So the photographer told me, hey, I need you to take a strobe. I need you to take a C-stand, go outside in the backyard, run this strobe to the 2nd story window, shoot that through the window, power it through a cable to the outdoor outlet. And I said, okay. Oh, also, it's raining right now. So we need to wrap the strobe in a plastic turkey wrap so it doesn't get damaged. And you need to stand out there with it to make sure that it doesn't fall down because this C-stand was ran up 20 feet high with a strobe on it in a rainstorm. So I did that. But luckily I had a sweater on. I had a winter jacket over that. I had a hat, I had gloves. It sucked. It was terrible, but at least I was prepared. So it didn't suck more and it wasn't more terrible. And I was out there for, I think, like 20, 30 minutes, just standing, manning this C-stand in this light, just getting drenched on. And when I finally came back into set, my coat had got so soaked through that my sweater underneath got soaked through. And the stylist was nice enough because we were on location. They said, give me your sweaters, give me your jacket. And she threw them in the house's drying machine for me. So that was really nice. But like I said, you never know what situation you're going to run through. So be prepared. The conditions can get crazy. This is not like a super cozy, comfy job. All right, let's talk rates. Now, this is the fun part of the presentation. Everyone wants to talk about this. If you're not having fun so far, that's on you. Shame on you. But that image, it could be you if you assisted more. And that image is literally me if I assisted more. So an assistant day rate typically starts at $250 a day. This is not like a hard and fast rule. This is not like universally agreed upon. But in my experience from assisting for a couple of years and hiring assistants and just being in the industry, I have found this range to be good. So very entry-level rate, $250 a day. This is someone who's new to the industry or like a fresh college grad who's looking to just get in and get experience. But through years of experience, this rate can actually go up to $550. I've found that like $550 is kind of the upper ceiling for like a career first assistant. Rates may vary here and there, but this is a pretty like real world range for you guys. And I posted a a video, a reel recently, interviewing a bunch of photographers and crew members at WPPI, and the ranges were wild. I mean, the lowest I got was like 125 for a day, and the highest I got was like 750 a day. So even photographers in the industry kind of debate about what the range is or where we are with that. We had a question?
Yeah, how long of a day would this be for?
So a day rate, standard-wise, is about a 10-hour day. If you're working in the film industry, a day is 12 hours. And then that photo day range might vary based on the city. So in LA, some photo days are 12 hours. In New York, some photo days are 12 hours. In Chicago, I've found that usually when someone says a day, they mean 10 hours, but it could be up to 12 hours. And then the overtime either starts at 10 or starts at 12. That's something you should definitely ask a photographer or a producer if they're hiring you about, is how long is this day and when does overtime start for this rate? But that communication, once again, very important. To work up to this ceiling, my rule of thumb is I would recommend giving yourself about a $50 raise for every year that you continually assist. So if you assist for like 2 years and then go up to like a $350 day rate, and then you don't assist for like 3 years, and then you come back, you're not just gonna go up to $550 right away. Like, you should be practiced and be experienced. So like I said, do this in good faith. Don't like just start jacking up the prices for no good reason. And sometimes opportunities will come your way where the rate is higher or lower than where you think you're at right now. And luckily, in this industry, you are still a freelancer at the end of the day. So that is up to you. You still control the yes, no of whether you're working for a certain rate or not. No one's gonna force you into a lower rate if you don't want to. So there's kind of a beauty in that, but if you are like struggling for work or really hungry to get more on-set experience, taking a lower rate is totally fine. I mean, if you're not gonna work anyway that day, you're just making money for free if you wanna do the gymnastics to get there. But the main benefit is a considerable income if you can manage to work regularly. A cool thing about assisting is that there's really no overhead. You just show up to set. You're not bringing a ton of your own equipment. There are some tools that you can bring to set if you want to invest in it, but I would do that like as you progress through your career. But there's really no overhead and relatively low responsibility. Now, is this an easy job? No, absolutely not. This is not an easy job. Is it a simple job? Yeah, it actually kind of is a simple job. It's straightforward. Like I said, you show up, you set up, you tether, you stand in, you manage gear, you move a bunch of stuff around, and then you break down and you go home. And you're absolved of all responsibility the second you leave set as an assistant. That's kind of convenient. The next benefit of assisting is the opportunity to learn as much as possible from being on sets for photographers who may be farther along in your career or just doing things differently than you. I mean, constant education is so important as an artist to grow. So whether or not you're a food photographer and you're assisting an architectural photographer, there are probably techniques that you could pick up. I mean, I've worked for photographers all across the spectrum of genres. And I've taken things from architectural photography, I've taken things from food photography, I've taken things from wedding event photography, and I have implemented a lot of those techniques into my fitness photography. And it has made my work so much better. You know, you never know where your next best idea is gonna come from. So staying practiced in the industry and the community, huge, huge benefit to assisting, especially if you're doing it regularly and for a variety of people. I think that variety can be really, really helpful. Yeah, and I think especially if you've been working with a photographer regularly, they're gonna watch you grow and watch you evolve. And people's rates just go up over time in any role. That's understood pretty much in the industry. So if you've been assisting for a while and you have been making strides in becoming a better assistant, and if they've been giving you good feedback, you could just say, hey, at the beginning of the year, hey, this year my assistant rate's gonna be this, just letting you know. And then sometimes when I come to you and say, hey, the budget really only is $250, once again, you have the yes, no, but if you're working for someone you genuinely want to help, you're probably gonna say yes, and it's gonna be fine. And they also want you to grow. Like, they should be understanding that you are evolving and you deserve more for a better experience. So with all of that being said, I just wanna say, congratulations. This is the end of the presentation. Go out and be the best assistant that you can be. So remember, always be grateful that you get to work in this field. No matter how difficult it can be, you are living your dream and a lot of other people's dreams. So practice that gratitude. Thank you.